Okay, so hello again, friends, and I really welcome you all to this new syllabus course, new syllabus CA Final subject Advanced Auditing Assurance and Professional Ethics. If you can see, there is a slight change in the name of the subject now. It is now Advanced Auditing and Professional Ethics was the name of in the old course, but now it is Advanced Auditing Assurance and Professional Ethics. So basically, they have added a new word here, assurance. Okay, but this word I believe you already know about it because we had a subject in CA Inter by the name of auditing and assurance. Okay, now before I start with the content, guys, I would want you to have a insight as to the paper pattern, the type of paper exam maybe pattern that they are expecting, that we are expecting rather in this particular paper. So all of you know that this is a 100 mark paper, and out of the 100 marks that we have, so this is a 100 marks paper. Out of the 100 marks that we have, it can be divided into two parts, guys. Okay, so the first part will be on the basis of, let's say, 30% will be on uh, MCQs. Okay, 30% will be MCQ, and the remaining 70%, all of you know this, is going to be the descriptive part. Okay, and this 30% MCQ is on, as per the ICI syllabus, it is going to be let's say case scenario, or I can also call it as what, case based. So we have got two things to understand here, that 30% of your questions will be in the form of MCQ and 70% will be the descriptive part. Okay, the good part is, again, uh, there is no negative marks in case of MCQ. So of course you have to attempt all of it. There is no negative marking. As of now, this is what the new syllabus says: 30% MCQ and 70% descriptive. Okay, now again, we before we start with the subject, I am going to give you a detailed, will do a detailed discussion about the syllabus. Okay, let me just open up the file with respect to the syllabus here. Yes, so advanced auditing, assurance and professional ethics. Okay, now before this, if you can see here, we have a lot of topics, guys: quality control, general auditing, almost this keeps on going, and we have almost how many chapters? 19 chapters to cover under the new syllabus of CA Final Audit. But if I have to just summarize it, guys, I would say, just for your basic understanding, the entire course I can divide. I can, let's say, I'll just write it in this way: CA Final Audit under new syllabus. Okay, the entire course I can divide it into three parts. I will primarily divide it into three parts. Okay, the first part is going to be about the standards. The first part in our CA Final Audit course, as per the new syllabus, is going to be about the standards. Second, something called as ethics, professional ethics. Okay, I'm very sure you have some knowledge about the ethics already. You have covered, sorry, about the standards already. You have covered it in your intermediate level. Ethics is going to be totally new for you. It has got, the CA final, one of the favorite topics of CA final students is this professional ethics. And the third part, basically I can say, uh, I would name it as others only. Okay, or miscellaneous, or other audits, etc. Okay, this is primarily the three categories of topics that we have in the entire CA final audit. Okay, now keeping this in mind, I'm going to make you dive into the syllabus in detail and understand first what are there in your, what are the inclusions, what are the things that we have to cover in that entire journey of this CA final audit course. Okay, so As far as standards are concerned, guys, I'm very sure you have heard about it earlier also, but this time in CA final, what has happened, when I talk about standards, we have got different types of standards in our course. We have got standards on audit in our course, okay, which most of the standards we have covered at the intermediate level. We have standards on auditing. We have got standards on review engagements. Okay, we have got standards on assurance engagement. Then we have also got standards on related services, standards on related services. So in your CA intermediate, you had covered some standards on auditing, but now we have other standards also to cover, like standards on review engagement, standards on assurance engagement, standards on related services, and also we have the standard on quality control as well, standards on quality control. So this standard, now we have to cover, all these standards. This is now in your CA final course. We have the SREs, SAEs, SRS also added in the new CA final syllabus. Now if I make you walk through the syllabus, the detailed syllabus which is given by ICI, let me just open the syllabus for you. Okay, so what they have done here is, if you see the content, they have given different chapters. If you see from chapter number 1 till chapter number, rather I should say 11, from chapter 1 to chapter 11, it is all about standards. Okay, what they have done, instead of keeping it in one chapter, they have now divided into multiple chapters. For example, they have given first chapter as quality control, wherein we are going to primarily focus on two standards, which is SQC1, SA2, SA220, and then they have general auditing principles and auditors responsibility. Here we are going to cover 240, SA250, 60, 299, 402, likewise. So what they have done, you have to, for the timing, understand that all the standards are there in our syllabus, but they have divided it into respective different chapters. Okay, so from chapter number 1, okay, from chapter number 1 to chapter number 7, we shall focus on all the standards on auditing. Okay, so please understand, guys, this standards on auditing part will be covered from our chapter number 1 to chapter number 7. Okay, all the standards they have tried and incorporated from in chapter 1 to chapter number 7. Now if you see the other chapters from chapter number 8, please understand, it says specialized areas. Now they have SA 800 also, 805, 810 also here. So these are also standards on auditing for specialized areas. This was not there earlier in your intermediate course. So okay, let me put it in this way. So standards on auditing is from chapter 1 to chapter number 8. Okay, now other chapters, if you see, standards on related services, okay, SRS, we have standards on review of financial information, SRE, then we have SAE also. So in short, guys, if I say the entire first part, okay, let me put it in this way, rather it will be better. This entire part, yeah, these are covered in which chapters? From chapter number 1 to chapter number 11. Yeah, was it 11? Yes, yeah, from 1 to chapter number 11. So that is why I told you, if I divide the entire syllabus into these three parts, standards alone, if you can see, is covering out of 19 chapters, from 1 to chapter number 11, it is covered by the standards. So now the standards are very much critical, and it constitutes, or let's say comprises of, one of the most important parts of your entire CA, or let's say major part of your entire CA final syllabus. Okay, now coming to the next part, ethics. Ethics is covered in chapter number 19, the last part, if you can see, professional ethics and liabilities of auditors. Now this is something which was there in the old course as well, and totally same now also, it is totally same. Few new questions just have been added in the study material. So chapter number 19 is going to be 19 is going to be about the ethics. Okay, so this is basically chapter number 19. Okay, and with respect to others, so what I have done, these were the two major topics. The standards and ethics are the two major topics, hence I have categorized them into these two portions, and all the remaining chapters, chapter 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. All the remaining 7 chapters, you can classify it as others. What are the chapters? Let us just go through them. So chapter number 12, newly incorporated, is about digital auditing and assurance. uh, then group audits, this is nothing but audit of consolidated financial statements, CFS. Then we have how are you going to learn about the auditing of banks, also non-banking financial companies. This was there in the old course also. Group audit was there in the old course. Then we have audit of public sector undertakings. We are going to learn some aspects of internal audit. Then concept of due diligence, investigation, and forensic audit. And one more topic which is totally new is this emerging areas, where we are going to learn about sustainable development goals, social environmental, social governance, etc. So this is totally new. Okay, most of the portions here, group audits, special features of audit of banks, NBFCs, public sector undertakings, internal audit, all this were there in the old course as well. Okay, so that is why these chapters from 12 till 18, okay, I will classify it as others for the time being. So from chapter number 12 to 18 is part of your others. Okay, so this is roughly the syllabus of CA Final Audit, the new syllabus. Okay, and again comprises majorly of the standards, then ethics, and then the others part. Okay, now, this was just an overview. I would still want to discuss more on the syllabus part, okay, so that you have an idea as to how you have to study, or prepare for the entire CA Final Audit subject. Okay, guys, let me make you walk through the syllabus in detail. Okay, so let's take for the sake of example, let's take chapter number 2. Now, chapter number 2 says the heading of the chapter is, the name of the chapter is what? General Auditing Principles and Auditors' Responsibilities. And under this chapter, what are the standards which are covered? You can see here SA 240, 250, 260, 299, and 402. So this is what is covered in detail in this particular chapter. But I have to make you, focus on this part. It says, note, content of essay. So we have few more standards, 200, essay 210 also, and essay 230. What they have mentioned here is they say content of these three standards, 200, 210, and 230, is covered in depth at the intermediate level. These three standards you have already covered in depth at the intermediate level. Hence, application part of the essays may be discussed. So application part of these standards may be discussed in the form of case study at the final level. So what they have done here is, please understand. So what does it mean, guys? Now you only tell me. I have few questions to ask you now. I would want you to write it in the chat box. Do you think essay 200, 210, and 230 is in CA final syllabus? Yes or no? Do you think it is there in the new syllabus? Okay, Raja Gopal is saying yes. Okay, Nishant is also saying yes. But now I would want you, what I have done here is I'll open this particular chapter. I'll open the ICI's material of this particular chapter for you to see. Okay, so this is how the new module looks like. Okay, and as I told you, they have covered here essay 240, 250, 260, 299, 402. Okay, and if I make you, if we go through the pages, okay, so yeah, they have discussed essay 240 here. Good enough. 240, it is all about 240. And then this is also 240. Yes, still 240. Management representations, yes. Then still 240, yes. Then they have discussed 250. Okay, then they have discussed 260, 240, 250, 260. Then 299. Okay, and after 299, they have discussed 402. So these are the five major standards that they have discussed, right? And in the syllabus part, they wrote that three standards, 200, 210, 230. Though you have covered this in detail at the intermediate level, practical part, application part of these standards may be asked in the form of case based questions. Okay, but to my utter surprise, guys, when after essay 402, if you can see, this is still the content of 402 going on. Okay, after 402, yeah, the chapter ends. These are the key takeaways. The chapter ends here, test your knowledge. So they have just mentioned what, that the requirements of 200, 210 and 230, these three standards you have to cover, but it is just the application part. But to my utter surprise, the content has not been given in our ICI material at all. Okay, however, why am I discussing this? Just give me 5 minutes, you'll all come to know about it. However, again, I would like to go back to the syllabus part. Okay, yes. So this was just, I just discussed chapter 2. If you see now chapter number 5, I'm making you walk through the content of chapter 5. Okay, it says audit evidence, and how many standards they have covered, guys? 500, 501, 505, 510, 530, 550. So they have almost covered 6 standards, but again they have mentioned the same line, that these standards were covered in depth at what level? Intermediate level. So the application part of these standards may be discussed in the form of case study at the final level. So the entire chapter 5, it has got 6 standards, but now we don't have to, as per the syllabus, because these standards were covered in detail at the intermediate level, we just have to prepare the standards from the application perspective to be asked in the form of case based questions at the final level. But now if I show you the content of chapter number 5, okay, 6 standards, you see how they have covered these 6 standards. Okay, so the first standard which they were supposed to cover here is what? SA 500, right? SA 500. Now how much of SA 500 they have covered? I want all of you to say this. Yeah, SA 500 they have mentioned. Just a moment. Yeah, so SA 500 they have mentioned here. Okay, and if you see, this is what the content is, just this chart. SA 500, the entire SA 500 is over here. Okay, now after 500 we have, yeah, so 500, this chart done. Then we have 501. If you can see, only this chart which is done. Okay, and likewise after 501 they have 505. So they have just summarized the standards in the form of charts and given it to you, okay, for your quick revision, or brushing of the knowledge which you have already done in CA intermediate level. 530 also they have just given a chart. But guys, let me just make you go through the kind of questions that they have asked. Okay, now there's just one theoretical question. Let's say what they have done, they have given a big case study here. Okay, on a specialty chemicals, they have given a big case study. I'm not going to go through the details of the case study here, but what I want you to understand is, let's see the first questions. First question, it says, based on the case study, uh, uh, please advise the auditor on the important aspects of carrying out the audit procedures. Okay, so which audit procedures? Question number 1, which audit procedures are required for verifying the existence and condition of a company's inventory with respect to with specific reference to its nature of operations? Okay, and if you see the answer, they have also provided you with the answer here, answer to theoretical questions. This is the answer: attendance, Just a moment, my pen is not working. Okay, yeah. So if you can see here, it says attendance at the physical inventory counting. Then we have observe the performance of management count, inspect the inventory. So many points. I mean, in the answer they have given so many points, but in the content they had given only one chart. Now, why did I, make you see all these things? My simple question to all of you is now, what do you think, guys, about the standards? I'm going back to the uh, this topic here. Okay, so let's talk about these standards: 500, 501, 505, 510, 535, 55, 550. These are only given in the form of chart in your study material, but the kind of questions that they have asked at the end of the chapter, the charts are not going to be sufficient. So what is the solution? You only tell me now. What do you think about these standards? Do you have to study them at the final level or not? Yes, please tell me, guys. What do you think? I have made you see the content of ICI material along with the kind of questions they might ask you in the exam. So, do you think only by going through those small charts will you be able to answer all the questions, the application part basically of the questions that they might ask you in the exam? What do you think, guys? Okay. Okay. Ritanya is saying we have to study from interbooks. Okay. Raja Gopal is saying no choice but to study. Yes. And Monica is saying yes, we have to study in detail. So the point is, even though it says that okay, these standards only application part may be asked, but I know, guys, see, I'll be very honest here. I know that first of all, how serious you were with respect to standards in your intermediate level, I know about it. Okay, secondly, even if you were serious, let's say you have good concept, you'll not be able to recall or remember them, because by the time you give your CA final exams there would be some gap for sure. Okay, so what I'll do here is, don't worry about it, Ritanya. You'll not have to follow and open your intermediate books again. What we are doing is, in our material you will find the content of these standards also. You'll find the content, of course, but what we have to do here is we have to be very smart, guys. The standards which the institute wants us to have deep knowledge, 250, let's say 240, 250, 60 and all, everything would be there in detail. We'll put more focus and emphasize on those standards more, but at the same time we are not going to leave these small the standards which we had covered at the intermediate level also. We are not going to leave 200, 210, 230. Of course, my speed in these standards would be a bit higher, but we shall cover all the entire standard. We shall cover the entire content of the standard, not just with respect to the 200 series, but let's say here also 500. Also with respect to here, if you can see, we have the content of SA 560, 570, 580. All this we are going to cover in detail, so don't worry at all about it. So that is why I said in the initial part when I started with my lecture, I told you almost, yeah, it's almost all standards which is there in your course now. Okay, and we have to cover them up. Okay, see, if you have studied uh, at your intermediate level also from me, I'm giving you an assurance, guys, again, that once you are done watching the lectures, the standards portion will be your standards portion. I mean, the first part of your syllabus is going to be super super strong, because standards is something which I love, and I would give all my efforts to make the concept extremely clear in your minds. It's not just the concept that we are going to focus upon, but we shall cover all the questions also which is newly incorporated in the new study material, of course, and also all the questions which have been asked in the past exams, RTP, etc. So we shall do an extensive coverage of everything, and I assure you that once you are done watching considerable part of my standards lectures, you will have a fair, you'll have a good confidence level that yeah, we are sorted with this paper. Okay, ethics. Coming to the ethics part, ethics is something which is going to be super easy, and every student of CA final loves this particular topic. So anyways, I know this is going to be one of your favorites, but my objective is to make the standards portion your favorite, because generally based on my past experience also, I have seen that standards is something which students will generally not like. Okay, it's always a burden for them, but you know you have to, you have taken a very right decision by joining these classes. I'm assuring you that the standards portion is going to be super easy for you. Okay, and then we have the others part, okay, which wherein we are going to cover 7 more chapters. Fine. So how are we going to move along with in our journey of CA final audit subject? So I shall be starting with the standards, guys. Okay, we'll focus on the basics. If you can see, if let me just make you now walk through the content of volume 1 of our book. If you see, what I have done here is, in volume 1 I have added a special chapter for you, which is chapter number 0, which is not there of course in the ICI material. This chapter number 0 here will discuss about the fundamentals. Again, I don't know, I mean, I'm not really very sure how your concepts with respect to auditing were at the intermediate level. Okay, and before I shall start with the content of the final level, I would want you to brush up all the common words, terminologies that we learned about auditing at the intermediate level. So what I have done here is, I have incorporated as chapter number 0, fundamentals chapter, so that even if guys you did not study the subject of auditing at the intermediate level properly, don't worry at all about it. I would go right into the basics. I will clear each and every basic of yours, and then we shall start with, let's say, the chapters from chapter 1 to chapter 7. So that is why I've incorporated specifically this chapter number 0, and probably 1 or 2 sessions we are going to only devote on chapter number 0, wherein I'll brush up all your concepts, basic concepts with respect to the subject of auditing, which we had learned at the intermediate level. Why is it important? So that when I actually start with the content of final, you are familiar with the words. Okay, you don't have to think, okay, what was the meaning of actual meaning of the word misstatement, what does assertion mean, all these common words, all these basic words. I'm just going to help you to revise that we had already covered at the intermediate level. All right, now before we start, guys, I have few more things to convey about the classes. Okay, now some of you are attending live, many of you would be watching the recorded ones in the form of Google Drive or pen drive. Okay, I have few requests to make, guys. If you, specifically the ones who are going to watch the videos later in the form of Google Drive or pen drive, guys, if you really want to make the classes effective, please ensure consistency. I don't want you to watch one lecture today, have a gap of 5 days, and then again, one fine day you're not able to sleep, and then you're like, okay, let's do auditing. No, it shouldn't be like this. You have to be very much consistent, have a very disciplined approach whenever you're watching any lecture, in your laptops, in your digital lecture, basically any of the e-lectures. It's not just with respect to my subject, any of the subject that you're watching, please ensure discipline, please maintain consistency. And in a subject like auditing, why am I focusing more on the consistency part? Because if you watch the lectures daily without having longer breaks in between, let's say a break of 3 days, 5 days in between, if you, on the other hand, if you watch it on a daily basis, you will be able to relate and connect with the concepts more. There will be a chain, and you'll be part of that chain, and you'll be in a very much better position if you watch the lectures on a consistent basis rather than having a lot of gaps in between. If If on the other hand, guys, I've seen certain students who will watch 2 or 3 chapters initially when they enroll for the lectures, and then there would be a gap of, let's say, again 20 days, and again then one fine day they'll open up the lectures again to watch. Then this is going to break the momentum. You will again take a lot of time to recollect what was taught in the first few chapters that you have watched. So that is why one sincere request is ensure consistency when you are watching the lectures. Also, if some of you have taken, or let's say opted for my, you must have watched my lectures at the let's say intermediate level also. I would want you to again, some of you already know me, the ones who are watching live, but our lectures, I would want to tell you about our lectures, guys, the ones who are going to watch the recorded versions. It is not going to be a 3 hour lecture for all the live sessions that I'm taking. Our lectures that you'll find on Google Drive will always be in the form of topic wise. Okay, so I'll just give you a fair idea what do I mean when I say topic wise. So if you can see, this is a schedule that I have, guys, with respect to my previous batches. So CA Final old course. Okay, so if you can see, the lecture number 1 is about introduction. This is only 22 minutes. Then engagement standards basic, 55 minutes. Audit process, almost 1 hour lecture. So all the entire lecture is not lecture wise of 3 hours each, but it is topic wise. Now why do I keep my lectures in the form of these topics and not a 3 hour long lecture? Why? Because what happens is, let's say just before the exams you're having some difficulty in with the concepts of 320, you can just click lecture number 320 and the video will be there. You will not have to waste your time to open up a lecture of 3 hours and then see, okay, where did sir teach 320? You're just going to do some rewind forward, waste a lot of time, not required. Okay, so this topic wise division of lectures, it helps in effective revision also. And because of this aspect, many of our students, they are able to consume the 2 views or whatever views that you purchase. Okay, and this is actually going to be beneficial. It is actually beneficial when you revise also. Okay, so all the topics you can see, it is along with the duration, and also I have given the volume book volume that you have to refer when you're watching the lectures. Okay, all right, so this is how you are going to get the lectures in your Google Drive. All right. Okay, so going back to the syllabus part. Okay, yes, again, I've already told you that you shall be you or let's say you will be having 3 volume of books, the main volumes, volume 1, 2 and 3. These 3 volume of books will be in line with the ICI material. I have also not the volumes that I'm maintaining, 1, 2 and 3, also will be as per the ICI books that you are going to get. Okay, but of course I have tried my best to make it in a better form. Okay, all let me just give you a fair idea how the notes would look like. This is the fundamentals chapter, and if you can see, it is in the tabular format, which is going to be very easy for you to understand. So all the standards and all the chapters that we are going to cover will be in this particular format. And at the end of each topic that we are going to do, we shall also cover the relevant questions, which is now very crucial, because in the new syllabus the type of questions that they are going to ask is very different, because I went through the study material and they have incorporated some new really good questions also. Okay, so we are going to discuss all those questions. All right. Okay, now, yes, going back to this syllabus part. Yes, I was saying that we'll be giving you 3 volumes of book, but apart from these 3 volumes, guys, I would also be sharing with you a booklet or maybe a PDF for MCQs, because I told you initially that we have 30 marks as MCQs. So we'll share MCQ booklet, which will contain the case-based scenarios and case based questions as well. So these are the 4 books that I am planning to offer, or the fourth one maybe in the form of PDF also, so that it's easy for you to access and all. But yes, you shall be getting 3 volumes of book. Okay. All right. Now, how shall I be going? Yeah, let me take you back to the syllabus part. How shall we be covering the chapters? Okay, so I'm just giving you a rough idea that we shall be starting with the standards part. Okay, And then once we are done with considerable portion of standards, I'm not saying the entire standards part, but once we are done with considerable portion of standards, we shall cover few interesting topics. Maybe I'll pick up the ethics part, few chapters from the others, this last portion of the topic, chapters 12 to 18. And then towards the end, once we are almost about to cover up all the topics of auditing, I would take you back to the world of standards, and we shall close the, or let's say stop, or let's say conclude the journey of the entire CA final auditing subject with some more standards towards the end. Okay, so it will be standards towards the beginning, then ethics part, few interesting chapters, and finally again few more standards to conclude the entire subject. So this is what I have planned as of now to basically, as per the schedule also in the old course batches that I took, this is generally what I have been following, and this is going to be super beneficial for you. Okay, now, so this was about the syllabus part, about the introduction of this subject. Now in the next session we shall start with the basics. As I showed you, I have a new chapter which I have incorporated. The name of the chapter is chapter 0, the fundamentals. So we shall be discussing on the fundamentals part.